Hi everyone. The following video discusses the topic of CSR or corporate social responsibility considerations in relation to the natural resource extraction, or more specifically the oil and gas industry.
Hello, my name is Nick, and my role in the report was focused on identifying and researching the recent trends relevant to M&Es in the oil industry. From my research, I found out that the oil industry has been under a large amount of scrutiny ever since the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil spill. BP, one of the biggest oil companies, was largely responsible for this spill. However, since then, oil companies have shown big steps in the right direction when it comes to environmental and social responsibility. And none other than BP has been the one leading this change. BP has invested millions into projects that support sustainable and renewable energy, like Lightsource BP, which aims to accelerate the low-carbon transition and boost growth of solar power worldwide. They also donate to and support multiple fundraisers, such as OzHarvest and the McGrath Foundation, in an effort to give back to society. According to Bloomberg New Energy Finance, global markets saw a 3% growth in clean energy for the past 2 years. These trends could be down to the right policies coming into play and/or with new developments in technology. Social and environmental responsibility is on the rise. In the next coming years, we should see a large growth in these areas as companies start to realize its true value.
So for this next part, we're going to be looking at the increasing issues faced by the oil industry and their operations which come as a result of these M&Es violating the environment and basic human rights. So IGOs have been attempting to use these violations as a platform to build regulations within institutional voids, leading to a world in which they can be held accountable for their actions on all stakeholders. M&Es in the oil industry have an exemplary amount of global power. This is due to their overall corporation wealth rivaling the wealth of many states. Third world states don't have the means to protect themselves against wealthy oil corporations, and these often corrupt states can rely financially on the revenue created by this institution. The human rights violations and environmental violations don't overweigh the material profit in the eyes of these corrupt governments, leaving many stakeholders vulnerable. So this was seen in Papua New Guinea, where the large-scale operations of the M&E BHP built in operating an open-pit copper mine have caused the destruction of surrounding environment and the traditional lifestyle for citizens of the country. However, BHP proceeded to continue operating in violating numerous environmental regulations, which has created difficulty for landowners and citizens of Papua New Guinea. However, IGOs have not been able to use these violations to hold these M&Es, such as BHP, to account.
Multinational enterprises within the oil industry have created their own issues. This is by building a need for global governance to protect the people and the environment from their practices when states refuse to or cannot. The presence of institutional voids in our world allows for multinational enterprise exploitation. Here, these corporations can manipulate already marginalized societies for profit. Although intergovernmental organizations cannot aid without the invitation to, they can utilize their resources to further understand multinational enterprises in a global context. This could produce methods that are just as cost-effective for them to operate, yet don't create human rights and environmental violations. The rise of global governance in the form of human rights and environmental protection isn't currently a large issue for multinational enterprises. This is due to their large economic influence over the countries in which they are operating. Globalization has allowed the malpractice of corporations, but with the rising attention and movement against these violations, it can be argued it's only a matter of time before all their operations must change.
Consequences of operating in the oil industry. The biggest concern is the environmental impact it has. During the oil mining process, there are many harsh and toxic chemicals left behind in the environment, along with the gas emissions created from transporting the oil. The next concern is the impacts it has on society. Aside from the obvious pollution, it is also very dangerous to do oil exploration. One of the largest incidents recorded in 1988, the Piper Alpha incident, took a total of 167 deaths. Since then, research has shown that there is a correlation between work-related trauma and oil mining. The response of multinational enterprises. For example, the Oil and Gas Climate Initiative, they aim to decrease methane output to a near zero by 2025. Other suggestions would be to improve training to avoid areas like Piper Alpha, and perhaps look into a more sustainable industry altogether.
To conclude, the oil and gas industry have accepted the impact they are having on the external environment and have made clear steps to reduce this. This has resulted in the adoption of certain policies and the publicised changes that specific companies have made. There is still, however, a lot to be considered around external enforcing of policy and how that would be implemented when intergovernmental organisations show a lack of influence over this industry. Thank you for listening.